There was an online discussion where a divorced dad is putting his ex-wife on blast for her reaction to him removing the tracking devices she put on their teenagers' phones as a consequence for drinking alcohol. Dad says his ex-wife is far more strict than him, and that's why the kids, who are all straight-A students, choose to live with him. While mom insists her ex-husband is far too lenient and negligent. Ladies, who do you agree with, mom or dad? Did she cross the line of privacy, or was it a good parenting?
Yes. I don't care how old your kids are. When you do sneaky things without telling them, I just don't think that's cool. I don't care what age kids are. You should be open with them and let them know. If I'm gonna put a tracking device on you, which I want to, on all of our family members, I have one on my mom, we have one with each other in the family, I'm gonna let you know. But you don't do it to your kids without them knowing, and also judge the ex for being too lenient. There has to be a conversation there.
I think the kids knew that the tracking device was on, and they told their dad because they had been drinking. They had been caught drinking alcohol at their age, and their mom felt like that was a punishment, so she could know where their children were, so they couldn't sneak and do.
So they were told by the parent.
Yeah.
Okay.
And so,
but I think it should be talked about between the mom and dad too.
For sure.
Well, it was talked about, and he said he'd take it off.
Yeah.
And so
Which
he took
did.
it off.
Because he pays for their phones, and he feels like you can't put a tracking device on a phone that I pay for. Parenting is not easy. It's hard to judge somebody for doing that. If she feels that her kids could be reckless, then I think, okay, you put tracking devices on them. I didn't like the fact that the dad was like, oh, she's so strict, that's why the kids live with me. It feels like there's already a divide between them.
Yes, the
and
personal
so I think, you know what, life is so different from when I was a kid in terms of like, you knew where your kids were, you knew whose house they were. Nowadays, I mean, the world has changed so much that if you want to know where your kids are, because it's a dangerous world we live in, I don't see anything wrong with it. My kids are not allowed to have passwords on their phone so that I can check and see who they're talking to and what they're doing. And I think you have to take parenting on as yourself. Maybe what you wouldn't do, I would do, you know, and I think we have to give everybody grace. And she's doing the best they can. The fact that they're in separate homes is already a divide.
Yeah.
And that's not the ideal situation.
I think it's so important when you become a parent, and you know, we grew up with divorced parents.
Yeah.
And I think we all did.
Yeah.
With parents that weren't together. But I think the most important thing, I think, when you're getting into a marriage or you're going to raise children is to really, really, when you say put the children first, that also means that we have to be on the same side. Because then when you allow there to be a divide amongst the parents, the children then think they can manipulate.
Oh, totally.
Separate. They can be like, oh, that's like, come on, don't front. Did we ever experience that mom said no, so you go and ask dad? Or dad said no, so you go and ask mom? And I think that really becomes confusing for children, and it kind of ends up making you pin them against each other, which complicates things so much more.
I agree with that, but I also feel like no matter, even if you're in a loving relationship, marriage, and you're in the house, you're going to have different opinions about raising your children.
Sure.
This dad said he's from New Zealand. At the age of 14, they're allowed to drink there. So already that's a different mindset for him than it is from the mom. So even if it's a family, everybody's united and together in the same home, there's gonna be differences in parenting.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I think maybe the compromise could be, since he is paying and he took it off, she goes to him and say, if one thing happens,
it's going back on.
It goes back on.
Yeah, I like that.
Because you have to find a way.
Like if you're not doing anything wrong, you don't mind being tracked.
Exactly.
Like I think that's why you're like my whole family.
Yes.
If I'm not doing anything wrong,
this world is crazy, guys. This world
really
is crazy.
is.
People are showing up missing.
But he's
I'm like, please track me, y'all. Y'all need to know where I am at all times.
Thank you.
He's nitpicking. This is not about the kids.
Because of the divide.
Yeah.
Correct.